Where'd you steal this car from? Steal? This is my car. Step aside, hands behind your back now. I'm a federal prosecutor, what's happening?
Officer Ryan Daniels thought he was conducting a routine traffic stop. Expensive car, black driver, late evening in an upscale neighborhood. In his mind, it fit a profile. But when he ordered the man out of the vehicle, refused to verify his federal prosecutor credentials, and placed him in handcuffs while calling his government-issued car stolen, he made a catastrophic mistake captured on his own body camera. The man he arrested was Assistant U.S. Attorney Marcus Monroe, a 37-year-old federal prosecutor with the Department of Justice, a graduate of Yale Law School, who had spent 12 years prosecuting federal crimes, including civil rights violations. And what Daniels didn't know was that the entire arrest was captured on 4 separate cameras. Daniels' body camera, his partner Officer Kelly Martinez's body camera, dashcam footage from both police vehicles, and Monroe's own phone recording that he activated before stepping out of his car. Every illegal step documented in crystal clear footage that would eventually cost the city $12.3 million and send Daniels to federal prison for 5 years. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared, and your support helps us bring more truth to light. Officer Ryan Daniels had been with the Fairfax County Police Department for 9 years. He joined the force in 2014 straight out of the police academy. By 2023, he'd been promoted to senior patrol officer assigned to the wealthy McLean area of Northern Virginia. And over those 9 years, he'd been named in 11 formal complaints alleging racial profiling and excessive force. 9 of those complaints came from black motorists who alleged Daniels had pulled them over in affluent neighborhoods without legitimate cause, questioned their right to be in those areas, and subjected them to searches that white drivers were not subjected to. All 11 complaints had been reviewed by Internal Affairs. 10 were dismissed as unfounded or insufficient evidence. One resulted in a written warning in 2019 after Daniels detained a black congressman for 45 minutes while verifying his congressional credentials were real. No further discipline was taken. Internal Department data obtained during later litigation revealed Daniels' pattern clearly. From 2018 to 2023, Daniels conducted 643 traffic stops in the McLean area. Department records and dashcam analysis showed that 512 of those stops, 79.6%, involved black or Hispanic drivers. In an area where black and Hispanic residents made up approximately 22% of the population. Of those 643 stops, only 87 resulted in actual violations, a 13.5% hit rate, which meant 86.5% of the people Daniels pulled over had committed no traffic violations. Daniels had a specific profile he targeted: black or Hispanic drivers in expensive cars in wealthy neighborhoods. Anyone who, in his judgment, looked like they didn't belong. For other officers had reported concerns about Daniels to supervisors. One wrote in an internal email in 2021, "Daniels seems to assume any black person driving an expensive car in McLean either stole it or is a drug dealer. I've watched him pull over innocent drivers repeatedly. Nothing was done." Daniels' supervisors valued his high number of stops. It looked productive. The fact that 86.5% of those stops harassed innocent citizens didn't matter. Until November 14, 2023, when Daniels stopped the wrong person, a federal prosecutor who spent his career putting dirty cops in prison. On the evening of November 14, 2023, Daniels was on patrol with his partner, Officer Kelly Martinez. Martinez had been with Fairfax County PD for 4 years. She was assigned to ride with Daniels despite having expressed concerns about his tactics to her training officer. Both officers were required to wear body cameras during all interactions with the public, a policy implemented 3 years earlier after multiple lawsuits. Daniels' camera, a Axon Body 3 model, was mounted on his chest. Martinez's identical camera was positioned on her vest. Both vehicles, Daniels' patrol car and the backup unit, had forward-facing dashcams that activated automatically when emergency lights were turned on. What none of them realized that evening was that those 4 cameras, Daniels' body cam, Martinez's body cam, and 2 dashcams, would become the primary evidence in one of the largest settlements in Fairfax County history, and that the footage would be used to prosecute Daniels in federal court. The cameras captured everything in high definition. The November evening was clear. Streetlights illuminated the scene perfectly. Audio quality was crystal clear. Every word, every expression, every illegal action would be documented from multiple angles with no possibility of dispute. At 8:47 p.m., Assistant U.S. Attorney Marcus Monroe was driving home from his office at the U.S. Attorney's office in Alexandria, Virginia. He'd been working late preparing for a federal trial scheduled to start the following week, a police corruption case involving officers who'd falsified evidence. Monroe was driving his personal vehicle, a 2022 BMW 5 Series that he'd purchased 6 months earlier with his own salary. The car was registered in his name. His license and registration were current. He had committed no traffic violations. He was driving north on Chain Bridge Road in McLean, heading to his home 4 miles away. Around him, the Friday evening traffic was light. He was thinking about the upcoming trial, mentally reviewing witness testimony. At the same time, Officers Daniels and Martinez were patrolling Chain Bridge Road. They were stopped at a red light when Monroe's BMW passed through the intersection. Daniels' body cam captured his immediate reaction. He turned his head to track Monroe's vehicle. Then he turned to Martinez. "You see that?" Daniels said, his voice clear on both body camera audio feeds. "See what?" Martinez asked. "Black guy? BMW. This neighborhood." Daniels put the car in gear. "That's either stolen or he's stealing." Martinez's camera captured her facial expression, a brief look of discomfort that she quickly masked. She said nothing. The dashcam footage from Daniels' vehicle showed his patrol car pulling into traffic behind Monroe's BMW. At 8:49 p.m., Daniels activated his emergency lights. The dashcam footage shows Monroe's BMW immediately signaling and pulling over into a well-lit parking lot, a CVS pharmacy with excellent overhead lighting and multiple security cameras. Monroe had been a federal prosecutor for 12 years. He knew exactly what to do. Before stepping out of his vehicle, he activated his phone's video recording and placed it on his dashboard, camera facing outward. His phone captured everything that happened next from inside the car. Daniels approached the driver's side window. His body camera recorded the interaction from his perspective, every detail sharp in the bright parking lot lights. Martinez positioned herself at the passenger side rear of Monroe's vehicle. Her camera recorded the scene from that angle. Both dashcams captured wide shots of the entire stop. For cameras, multiple angles, perfect lighting. Everything about to happen would be irrefutably documented. "License and registration," Daniels said. His tone, captured on all 4 audio feeds, was already aggressive. Monroe's hands were visible on the steering wheel, a standard safety practice. "Good evening, officer. May I ask why you pulled me over?" Daniels' camera captured his own face reflected in Monroe's window for a brief second, his expression showing clear suspicion. "Your license and registration." Now, Monroe slowly reached for his glove compartment. His movements were deliberate and visible. "I'm reaching for my registration." "Where do you steal this car from?" Daniels said. The question was captured on all 4 cameras. All 4 audio feeds. Crystal clear. Monroe's face, visible on Martinez's camera from her angle, showed shock. "Excuse me. This car. Where do you steal it from?" Daniels repeated. Monroe took a breath, keeping his composure. "Officer, this is my car. I purchased it 6 months ago. The registration is right here." "Step out of the vehicle," Daniels interrupted. "Officer, I haven't committed any violation. Why am I being?" "Step out. Now. Hands where I can see them." Monroe's phone camera captured his perspective, Daniels' hand moving to his weapon. Monroe made a decision. He would comply. He would not escalate. He would let the cameras do their job. He opened the door slowly. "I'm stepping out. My hands are visible." Daniels' camera recorded Monroe stepping out of the BMW. Monroe was wearing a tailored charcoal suit, white dress shirt, burgundy tie. He looked exactly like what he was, a federal prosecutor leaving his office after a long day. "Hands behind your back," Daniels ordered. "Officer, I'm Assistant U.S. Attorney Marcus Monroe. I work for the Department of Justice. My credentials are in my jacket." "Sure you are," Daniels said. His tone, captured clearly on all 4 cameras, dripped with sarcasm. "Where'd you really get this car? Who'd you steal it from?" Monroe remained calm. 12 years as a prosecutor. He knew how to stay composed under pressure. "This is my personal vehicle. I can prove ownership. My registration, my insurance, my Department of Justice identification, all of it is in my possession. May I reach for my credentials?" "Hands behind your back." Now, Martinez's camera captured her own feet, shifting uncomfortably. She said nothing, made no move to intervene. Her silence was captured as clearly as Danielle's aggression. A car pulled into the CVS parking lot, a woman in her 50s. She saw the police stop, slowed down, and parked nearby. She pulled out her phone and started recording. A fifth camera now documenting everything. "Officer Daniels," Monroe said, reading the name tag visible on the body cam footage, "I am a federal prosecutor with the U.S. Attorney's Office. I prosecute federal crimes, including civil rights violations. I have not committed any traffic violation. I am asking you, what is the basis for this stop?" Daniels pulled out his handcuffs. "The basis is this car is stolen and you're lying about who you are. Hands behind your back or you're getting tossed." "I'm not resisting," Monroe said clearly, speaking to all the cameras. "I'm complying. But I'm telling you that you are making a serious mistake. I am Assistant U.S. Attorney Marcus Monroe. My employee ID number is DOJ 47821. You can verify this with one phone call to the U.S. Attorney's Office duty line." "Turn around," Daniels said. Monroe turned around. Daniels grabbed his wrists roughly, the force visible on Martinez's camera. He clicked the handcuffs tight. Monroe winced. The metal bit into his wrists. "You're under arrest for possession of stolen property and false impersonation of a federal officer," Daniels said. The woman who'd been watching from her car got out. "Excuse me, officer. I think there's been a mistake. This man is telling the truth. I recognize him from the news. He's a prosecutor." "Ma'am, step back or you'll be arrested too," Daniels said. The woman kept recording but stayed back. Martinez finally spoke. Her voice, captured on all four cameras, was quiet but clear. "Ryan, maybe we should verify his ID before." "He doesn't have ID," Daniels interrupted. "He's got a stolen car and a fake story." "My credentials are in my jacket pocket," Monroe said. "Inside left pocket. My Department of Justice ID card, my driver's license, my DOJ building access card." Daniels reached into Monroe's jacket roughly. He pulled out a black leather credential case. He opened it. All four cameras captured what he saw: an official U.S. Department of Justice identification card. Gold seal. Photo of Marcus Monroe. Title: Assistant U.S. Attorney. Employee number: DOJ 47821. Issued by the Department of Justice. Daniels stared at it for 5 seconds. The silence was captured on all four audio feeds. "This could be fake," Daniels said finally. Martinez's camera captured her reaction, her head turning sharply toward Daniels, her mouth opening slightly in disbelief. "Officer Daniels," Monroe said, his voice still calm but firm, "that is an official Department of Justice credential with security features that cannot be counterfeited. The holographic seal, the embedded chip, the unique serial number. That ID was issued by DOJ security. You can verify it with one phone call." "We'll verify it at the station," Daniels said. He put the credential case in his own pocket. "You're seizing my federal identification?" Monroe said. "That's a federal offense." "You're coming with me," Daniels said. He walked Monroe toward his patrol car. All cameras captured Monroe's face, calm, composed, but with growing anger visible in his eyes. As Daniels put Monroe in the back of the patrol car, the woman recording called out, "I'm a witness. I saw everything. This is wrong." Daniels ignored her. The dashcam footage from his vehicle captured Monroe sitting in the back seat, handcuffed, his BMW still parked with the door open in the CVS lot. At 9:02 p.m., 15 minutes after the stop began, Daniels radioed dispatch. "This is Unit 47. I have one in custody. Suspected stolen vehicle, false impersonation of federal officer. Requesting backup to secure the vehicle for towing." The radio transmission was recorded, entered into official records. Another piece of evidence. Should officers be required to verify federal credentials before making arrests? Drop your answer below. This wasn't just a case of mistaken identity. This was racial profiling backed by a badge, with consequences that would destroy a career and expose systematic failures. Daniels drove Monroe to the Fairfax County Police Department headquarters. Martinez followed in the second patrol vehicle. The drive took 12 minutes. Monroe sat in the back seat, handcuffed, still wearing his suit, his mind already working through the legal implications of what was happening. He knew he was being arrested illegally. He knew Daniels had violated his Fourth Amendment rights. He knew that as a federal prosecutor, he had the knowledge, the resources, and the platform to fight back in ways most victims of police abuse never could. But first, he had to get through booking. They arrived at headquarters at 9:18 p.m. Both body cams captured the walk from the patrol car to the intake desk. Monroe walked calmly, his head up, his expression neutral. Daniels gripped his arm unnecessarily tight, the excessive force visible on Martinez's camera angle. The intake officer was Sergeant Linda Hayes. She'd been with Fairfax County for 19 years. She was working the desk that evening, processing a quiet Friday shift. Daniels approached her desk. Both body cams were still recording. Standard policy. Cameras stayed on until the suspect was secured in a cell. Intake, Daniels said. Stolen vehicle, false impersonation. Sergeant Hayes looked up. She saw Monroe, well-dressed, calm, professional-looking. She saw the handcuffs. She saw Daniels' aggressive posture. Name? Hayes asked Monroe directly. Marcus Jerome Monroe, Monroe said clearly. Assistant U.S. Attorney, Department of Justice, Eastern District of Virginia. Hayes' eyes widened slightly. She looked at Daniels. Did you verify that? He's lying, Daniels said. Had a fake ID. Claimed to be a federal prosecutor. Driving a stolen BMW. The ID isn't fake, Monroe said, his voice still calm. It's in Officer Daniels' pocket. My DOJ credentials. He confiscated them during the stop. Hayes held out her hand to Daniels. Let me see the ID. Daniels reluctantly pulled out Monroe's credential case. He handed it to Hayes. Hayes examined it carefully. She'd been in law enforcement for 19 years. She knew what real federal credentials looked like. She turned the ID over, checking the holographic seal, the embedded security features. She looked at Daniels. This looks real. Anyone can fake these, Daniels said. Hayes' expression hardened. She picked up her phone. I'm calling the U.S. Attorney's Office duty line. We can verify this in 60 seconds. You don't need to, Daniels started. Yes, I do, Hayes said firmly. Her tone was captured on both body cams. She dialed. She waited. Someone answered. This is Sergeant Linda Hayes, Fairfax County Police. I have someone in custody who claims to be Assistant U.S. Attorney Marcus Monroe, employee number DOJ 47821. Can you verify? She listened. Her expression changed. She glanced at Monroe, then at Daniels, then back at Monroe. I see. Yes, I understand. No, yes, he's in handcuffs right now. I'll take care of it immediately. She hung up. The silence that followed was captured on both body cams and in the audio feeds. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. He's real, Hayes said quietly. That was the duty attorney at the U.S. Attorney's Office. They confirmed Marcus Monroe is an assistant U.S. attorney with 12 years of service. They said he was working late on a federal case tonight and was expected to be driving home around this time. Daniels' face went pale. The color drain was visible on Martinez's camera angle. Hayes looked at Monroe. Sir, I apologize. This should never have happened. She took her keys out and moved around the desk. She unlocked Monroe's handcuffs personally. Monroe rubbed his wrists. Red marks were visible where the cuffs had been too tight. Hayes' camera captured the bruising in detail. Your vehicle? Hayes asked. 2022 BMW 5 Series. Registered in my name. Still parked at the CVS on Chain Bridge Road with the door open. Hayes picked up her radio. Unit 23, respond to CVS at Chain Bridge and Elm. Secure and protect a BMW belonging to Assistant U.S. Attorney Monroe. Do not tow, do not search, do not touch. Post a unit there until Mr. Monroe can retrieve it. She turned to Daniels. My office. Now. Daniels' body cam captured his walk to Hayes' office. Martinez followed. Both cameras recorded the conversation that followed. Monroe was given his credential case back. He was given his personal belongings, wallet, phone, keys. He was shown to a private room and told he was free to go whenever he was ready. He sat down. He looked at his phone. 23 missed calls from his wife, Angela. Text messages asking where he was, if he was okay, why he wasn't home. It was 9:42 p.m. He'd been detained for 53 minutes. He called Angela. She answered on the first ring. Marcus, where are you? I've been calling. I'm okay, he said. His voice was calm but tight. Controlled emotion. I was arrested. Arrested? For what? Where are you? Fairfax County Police Headquarters. I was pulled over. The officer said my car was stolen. He didn't believe I was a prosecutor. He arrested me for false impersonation. Silence on the other end. Then he arrested you? A federal prosecutor? I'm being released now. The sergeant verified my credentials. But Angela, I need you to do something for me. Anything. Call David Reeves. Tell him what happened. Tell him I need him tonight. David Reeves was one of the most prominent civil rights attorneys in the D.C. area. Monroe had worked with him on several cases over the years. Cases where Monroe had prosecuted dirty cops and Reeves had represented their victims in civil suits. "I'll call him right now," Angela said. "I'm going to pick up my car. Then I'll come home." "But Angela, this isn't over. What happened tonight was illegal, and I'm going to make sure everyone knows it." "I love you," she said quietly. "I love you too." He hung up. He sat in the quiet room for another minute, collecting himself. He was a federal prosecutor. He knew exactly what his rights were. He knew exactly what laws had been violated. And he knew exactly how to prosecute this. At 9:51 p.m., Monroe walked out of Fairfax County Police Headquarters. A patrol officer drove him back to the CVS parking lot where his BMW was still parked, now with a police unit stationed to protect it. The officer who'd been posted there, a young officer named Chun, apologized profusely. "Sir, I'm so sorry about what happened. This should never." "Thank you, Officer Chun," Monroe said. He got in his BMW. He drove home. At 10:23 p.m., he pulled into his driveway. Angela met him at the door. She hugged him tight. "David Reeves is coming over. He said he'll be here in 20 minutes. Monroe nodded. "Good." David Reeves arrived at 10:47 p.m. He was 52 years old, a veteran civil rights attorney with 25 years of experience. He'd won over $80 million in settlements and verdicts against police departments, prison systems, and government agencies across the country. He sat down at Monroe's dining room table with a legal pad and a recorder. "Tell me everything," Reeves said. Monroe walked him through the entire stop. The false pretense, the refusal to verify credentials, the stolen car accusation, the arrest, the confiscation of federal identification, every illegal step. Reeves took notes. "Do you have body cam footage?" Daniels and his partner were both wearing cameras. Both police vehicles had dash cams. "And I recorded the stop on my phone." "For cameras," Reeves said slowly, a smile forming. "4 different angles documenting every second." "Yes. Marcus, this is the most documented case of racial profiling I've ever seen. We have you, a federal prosecutor, illegally detained. We have 4 cameras capturing everything. We have a witness who recorded the stop. We have the duty line verification. We have a pattern of complaints against this officer going back 9 years." "How much?" Monroe asked. "I'm thinking 8 figures," Reeves said. "This isn't just compensatory damages for one bad stop. This is punitive damages for systematic failures, for ignored complaints, for an officer who was allowed to terrorize black drivers for years while his supervisors looked the other way." Monroe nodded. "File it. We'll need to gather all the evidence first. I'll file public records requests for all bodycam footage, dashcam footage, Daniels' complete personnel file, all complaints against him, all internal affairs investigations. We'll interview witnesses. We'll build an airtight case." "How long?" 3 weeks to compile everything. Then we file." Monroe looked at his wife. She nodded. "Do it," Monroe said. The lawsuit was filed on December 6, 2023, 3 weeks after the arrest. Marcus Jerome Monroe versus Officer Ryan Daniels, Officer Kelly Martinez, Sergeant Thomas Gray, Daniels' supervisor, in Fairfax County. The complaint was 89 pages long. It detailed the November 14th stop. It included transcripts from all 4 camera angles. It presented Daniels' complete complaint history, 11 complaints over 9 years, all dismissed. It included statistical analysis showing Daniels stopped black drivers at a rate 3.6 times higher than their population percentage. It included statements from 4 other officers who'd reported concerns about Daniels' tactics. Charges: asterisk violation of the 4th Amendment, unlawful seizure and false arrest. Asterisk violation of the 14th Amendment, denial of equal protection. Asterisk violation of 42 U.S.C. Section 1983, deprivation of rights under color of state law. Asterisk violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Asterisk false imprisonment. Asterisk intentional infliction of emotional distress. Asterisk assault and battery. Asterisk malicious prosecution. Damages sought, $12.3 million. The lawsuit made national news. A federal prosecutor arrested by local police. For cameras documenting everything. Systematic racial profiling exposed. Fairfax County's attorneys tried to settle immediately. First offer, 2 weeks after filing, $500,000. Monroe refused. Second offer, 1 month later, $1.2 million. Monroe refused. Third offer, 2 months later, $3 million plus Daniels' termination. Monroe refused. "This isn't about money," Monroe told Reeves. "This is about accountability. If this can happen to me, a federal prosecutor with resources and knowledge. What's happening to people who don't have those advantages? We go to trial. The trial began on October 7th, 2024, 11 months after the arrest. U.S. District Court, Eastern District of Virginia. Judge Patricia Morrison presiding. The courtroom was packed. Media, civil rights advocates, law enforcement observers. Everyone wanted to see a federal prosecutor prosecute his own illegal arrest. Monroe's legal team presented their case methodically. Day 1, opening statements. The 4-camera footage played simultaneously on 4 large screens positioned around the courtroom. The jury watched in silence as the stop unfolded from multiple perspectives. From Daniels' body cam, his immediate suspicion upon seeing Monroe's car. His accusation, "Where'd you steal this car from?" His refusal to verify credentials. From Martinez's body cam, her discomfort, captured in her shifting feet, her hesitant voice, her silence when she should have intervened. From the dash cams, wide shots showing Monroe's calm compliance, his hands always visible, his professional demeanor throughout. From Monroe's phone, his perspective, Daniels' aggression, the witness in the parking lot trying to help. For angles, one undeniable truth. The jury saw Monroe's face when Daniels accused him of theft. They saw Daniels examine real federal credentials and call them fake. They saw 53 minutes of illegal detention captured in perfect clarity. Day 3, Monroe testified. He spent 6 hours on the stand. He walked the jury through every moment. His voice never shook. His answers were precise, factual, devastating. "Mr. Monroe," his attorney asked, "what went through your mind when Officer Daniels said your Department of Justice credentials were fake?" "I thought about every black person who's been in this situation without the resources to fight back," Monroe said. "I thought about how many people Officer Daniels has done this to who couldn't afford an attorney, who didn't know their rights, who were terrified into compliance. I realized that my arrest wasn't about me. It was about a system that allows this to happen." Day 5, Daniels testified. The cross-examination destroyed him. "Officer Daniels, what made you pull over Mr. Monroe's vehicle?" "He was driving erratically." The dashcam footage shows him maintaining his lane, obeying the speed limit, and using his turn signal. "Where's the erratic driving?" Silence. "Officer Daniels, in your 9 years with Fairfax County, how many times have you pulled over a black driver in an expensive car?" "I don't know the exact number. The data shows 512 times." "How many times have you pulled over a white driver in an expensive car?" "I don't keep track." 73 times. That's a ratio of 7 to 1. In an area where the population is 78% white and 14% black. Can you explain that disparity? Silence. "Officer Daniels, when you saw Mr. Monroe's federal prosecutor credentials with the Department of Justice seal, the security hologram, the embedded chip, why did you call them fake?" More silence. "Was it because you couldn't believe a black man could be a federal prosecutor?" "No." "Then why?" No answer. Day 8, closing arguments. Reeves stood before the jury. For cameras. Crystal clear footage. Irrefutable evidence. Officer Daniels racially profiled Marcus Monroe, arrested him illegally, violated his constitutional rights, and then tried to justify it. The defense wants you to believe this was a mistake. But you've seen the pattern. You've heard the statistics. This wasn't a mistake. This was racism backed by a badge. And it's time to hold Officer Daniels, and the department that enabled him, accountable. The jury deliberated for 4 days. On October 19, 2024, they returned their verdict. Verdict, liable on all counts. The courtroom erupted in applause. Judge Morrison had to restore order. The damages phase began the next day. The jury heard testimony about Monroe's emotional trauma, his fear during the detention, the humiliation of being handcuffed in public, the professional embarrassment of being arrested as a federal prosecutor. They heard about the bruises on his wrists, the nightmares, the therapy sessions, the impact on his family. They heard about Daniels' pattern. 512 black drivers pulled over in 9 years, 86.5% of them innocent. They heard expert testimony about the systemic failures that allowed Daniels to operate unchecked for nearly a decade. On October 23, 2024, the jury announced damages. $7.8 million in compensatory damages, $4.5 million in punitive damages total, $12.3 million. When the verdict was read, Monroe sat quietly. No celebration, just a small nod of acknowledgement. Outside the courthouse, he gave a statement to the press. "This verdict isn't just about me. It's about every black person who's been pulled over for driving while black. It's about every person of color who's been told they don't belong in their own neighborhood. It's about accountability. And it's a message to every police department in America. You will be held responsible. Officer Ryan Daniels was terminated by Fairfax County Police within 24 hours of the verdict. But his punishment didn't stop there. The U.S. Department of Justice, Monroe's own employer, opened a federal criminal investigation into Daniels for civil rights violations under 18 U.S.C. Section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. On January 12, 2025, Daniels was indicted on 3 federal counts. Asterisk deprivation of rights under color of law. Asterisk false arrest. Asterisk falsifying police reports. He went to trial. On April 3, 2025, he was convicted on all counts. On June 15, 2025, he was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Officer Kelly Martinez was not criminally charged, but she was suspended without pay for 6 months and demoted to patrol officer. Her career trajectory was destroyed. She resigned from the force 8 months later. Sergeant Thomas Gray, Daniels' supervisor who'd ignored years of complaints, was demoted and reassigned to desk duty. He retired within a year. Fairfax County implemented sweeping reforms. Asterisk mandatory implicit bias training for all officers, 40 hours annually. Asterisk civilian oversight board with subpoena power. Asterisk early warning system flagging officers with patterns of complaints. Asterisk body camera footage preserved for 5 years minimum. Asterisk independent investigation of all excessive force complaints. Asterisk public dashboard reporting stops broken down by race. Asterisk zero tolerance policy. Any officer with verified racial profiling violations faces immediate termination. Marcus Monroe used $2 million of his settlement to establish the Monroe Justice Fund, providing free legal representation to victims of police misconduct who couldn't afford attorneys. The fund helped 47 people in its first year. He continued serving as an Assistant U.S. attorney. He became the lead prosecutor on police corruption cases for the Eastern District of Virginia. He testified before Congress twice about police accountability and systemic racism in law enforcement. He still drives his BMW, and he's never been pulled over since. The 4-camera footage became a teaching tool in law schools, police academies, and civil rights training programs nationwide. Federal prosecutors use it to show how racial profiling operates. Police departments use it to show what not to do. The case established legal precedent in the Fourth Circuit for qualified immunity limitations, holding that officers cannot claim good faith immunity when ignoring obvious evidence of innocence. Today in February 2026, Daniels is 45, serving his sentence at FCI Cumberland. He's scheduled for release in mid-2028 with a federal conviction that will follow him forever. He'll never work in law enforcement again. Monroe is 39, still prosecuting federal cases, still fighting for justice, still using his platform to hold dirty cops accountable. The lesson was documented from 4 angles in crystal clear footage. When you profile someone based on race, refuse to verify their credentials, and arrest them illegally, you don't just lose your job. You lose your freedom. And the person you underestimated might just be the prosecutor who puts you in prison. If you believe that federal prosecutors shouldn't have to prove they're not criminals while driving home from work, that racial profiling has no place in law enforcement, and that justice requires holding police accountable even when it means sending them to prison, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. What was the most shocking part of this story for you? Drop it in the comments below. And if this case changed how you think about police accountability, share it with someone who needs to see it. Because the truth, when recorded from 4 different angles and proven beyond any doubt in a court of law, has the power to change not just individual lives but entire systems of justice.